So with Tyreek Hill gone, it's not the only guy that's left the Chiefs. The Chiefs are in cap saving mode.
Dude,
they shedding contracts.
They lost their biggest playmaker on offense and their two biggest playmakers on defense. Their best corner and their best safety are gone.
So if you haven't been keeping track, this isn't even everyone gone. These are just the big ones, right? Tyreek Hill obviously traded to the Fins. Tyrann Mathieu is free agent. He's going to be gone. Jarran Reed, defensive tackle. He's at the Packers.
Yeah.
Charvarius Ward's in San Francisco. Mike Remmers, a free agent. Demarcus Robinson, we got in Las Vegas now.
I like him.
And he's good, right? He'll fit a role. He'll fit a role, right? The wide receiver room's deep. So if you're going to get any playing time, you got to be a specialist, which Robinson is. But for people who say the cap isn't real, it doesn't exist, just sign all the best guys. The cap is malleable, and you can manipulate it, and you can kick the can down the road a bunch of times, but eventually it catches up to you, and it's caught up to the Chiefs. You can't give Patrick Mahomes that contract. You can't give the tight end that remains nameless that contract and have it not eventually get to other guys that you give all these big contracts to. So, again, this is like, I think the reign of terror for the Chiefs, it may be coming to a close. Now we've thought this a couple times, right? But without Hill, without defensive playmakers, I mean, they're going to have to crush it in the draft. They're going to have to, Andy Reid's going to have to figure some way to replace Hill. I mean, is this the start of the end of the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yes, I think so. Let me tell you how much Andy Reid values Mahomes over anything else. He chose to pay Orlando Brown over Tyreek Hill. Mm-hmm. He could have gotten a serviceable tackle, maybe not as good, but a decent guy, not pay him nearly as much as he's paying Orlando Brown. And because they franchised him, so he's going to pay a shit ton of money. And they still would have been able to pay Tyreek Hill. Mm. Instead, he chose to pay the extra money to protect Mahomes than to give the money to Tyreek Hill. So that's everything. So in case anybody was unclear of the pecking order in Kansas City, it's the quarterback and whoever protects the quarterback. That comes first. That's why they spent so much money on the offensive line. They spent so much capital on the offensive line last year. When you give, the two biggest contracts that were signed in the offseason or the last couple seasons for quarterbacks, they each lost their number one receiver because they couldn't afford him. Aaron Rodgers signed that stupid contract, and they had to ship away Adams because they didn't have any money to pay him. Mm-hmm. Or they had the money to pay him, but they couldn't pay him when they should have paid him because they were still waiting for Aaron Rodgers because they didn't know how much money they were going to have to pay Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Then they give, the Kansas City gives Mahomes that huge, big contract, and they don't have enough to pay Tyreek Hill what he wanted. It's definitely something that you need to be a little bit smarter with your cap space. You need to know who to get rid of. This whole fucking Atlanta thing, Jesus Christ, man, that's the absolute worst way to ever, if you were going to get rid of Matt Ryan, last year would have been the year to get rid of Matt Ryan, not this year, when all those extra roster bonuses and all that shit was due. And they could have snagged the guy early in the draft. They could have gotten a Justin Fields or a guy early. And they ended up going tight end and trying to run it through with no other talent really on their team. And they were so devoid of talent that they had Cordarrelle Patterson, a wide receiver, play running back. Now he ended up being a good running back, but that's how devoid of talent they were on that team. That's how not to, run your cap and run a team.
So I'm with you in that I think Hill was such a crucial part of that offense, not just his actual production, but how you had to completely scheme around him, just took the top off the offense. It wasn't just pure, you can't just John Gruden thought you can replicate Hill, which is pure 40 time.
Yeah,
not true. He has breakaway speed, he has stop and go speed, He has straight line speed. He's accelerating. It's different speed, right? 40 time doesn't tell football speed the way Hill does, right? Well, this is the problem. And this is my theory, and it's been, I think, proven correct multiple times. In football, the three most important positions, only one of them's on the field. It's quarterback, coach, owner. Because stability of a franchise is what matters. To be able to put together drafts and signings, like players come and go, locations come and go, all these things, like, contracts come and go, trades happen, they don't happen. But stability of a franchise for longevity and continued success are if the people that stay there for a while, owners, head coach, quarterback, right? Like you think like the Patriots. Why did the dynasty happen? Bob Kraft's great owner. Bill Belichick's a great coach. Tom Brady's a great quarterback. Bam. And it helped that he had a great quarterback and Belichick was a defensive coach. So you've got Brady taking care of the offense, et cetera. Mm-hmm. In Kansas City, you still have Clark Hunt, good owner. Andy Reid, good coach. Patrick Mahomes, great quarterback. That's what I'm worried about, is the trifecta of the important guys involved for longevity and success in creating dynasties. They're all still there.
So here's the thing. It doesn't worry me because
I can't wait to hear your answer because I want to not worry anymore.
The Chiefs won, but it wasn't like they were sweeping everybody every single year. And it wasn't like, even with all their weapons and everything, we didn't see chinks in the armor these last couple of years anyway, even with all those weapons, right? Everyone else in the division is getting better. And they're kind of like, okay.
Exponentially so. Like,
yeah,
way better.
And it's like, it's almost, it's like evolution. You can't be a part of the AFC West anymore and do things in a stupid way. It just you can't just throw a dartboard in the dark anymore. You can't throw a dart into a dartboard in the dark. You have to be a little bit more systematic, and you have to have a better plan put together, because you're going to be left way behind, and it'll happen fast. You see all the moves that these other teams are making in the West, and the gap is getting much shorter now. It's hard to win in the NFL, man. It's hard to win in the NFL. To win 6 years in a row the division, especially in the NFL with all the turnover and the uncertainty with injuries and all the variables that go involved, it's hard to win in the NFL. There was already chinks in the armor, and everyone else is getting better. It's going to change. Now, I'm not saying that every single year or they're going to miss the playoffs, they're going to be in last place or anything like that. Could it happen? Of course it can. But that stranglehold where, they're by far head and above, they're going to win the division, who's going to get the wild card? That's how it's been the last 4 or 5 years. They've been head and shoulders above everybody else. That's not the case anymore.
Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Max Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.